Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Queen Aishah, and thank you again for joining us for another dope episode of I Know Dope People. Today, my guest is a friend of mine, Sherri Warren. We met in DC almost 30 years ago. She's pretty seasoned. Anyway, we're going to talk about, she backstage laughing, we're going to talk about the untimely passing murder of her brother, Keith Warren, in Montgomery County, Maryland, that took place July 31st of 1986. Before we get into that, I'm going to do some Queens quickies. You know, we've been watching the news and seeing different things, so we're going to just touch on some things that took place. First, I want to just mention that I found out that Rihanna, word in the street is Rihanna is the first ever richest Black woman of the cosmetic brand. $1 billion. Go Riri. Over $1 billion. Go Riri. Mama of one and what we calling it, a half and 3/4 baby, almost on the way. Congratulations, Rihanna. Keep it pressing. Keep it going, gal. Keep it going. And also, I don't know if I'm sure that you all may have heard about the Creed actor Jonathan Majors, alleged. He was arrested for alleged assault of, I believe, a girlfriend or a female friend of his. Him and Michael B. Jordan just presented the cinematography category on the Oscars back in March. And he is out of jail, of course, on bond. And this case is still going on. Supposedly, he released the text messages of the conversation between him and the woman. I'm not sure if it's his girlfriend, or what, but I'm sending a lot of love and great energy to that situation. I hope that there was no abuse or assault on either party's part, but we will see. It remains to be seen. Also, Angel Reese of LSU, who is from Baltimore, Maryland, and also played for University of Maryland. Yes, honey, Angel Reese is killing the game. So, of course, it's been a lot of conversation this week about how she was treated and how the other team lead, I don't know this young lady's name, the Hawkeyes, was treated as far as what journalists say about their skill, about their personalities. And what I like about Angel, what she said, and I love a person that stands in their truth. Basically, she brushed her shoulder off. She brushed her shoulders off, and she basically said, I'm doing this for girls that look like me. I think that is so powerful. And she stands in that, and I stand with her, because if we get caught up with something that everybody says and wants us to be, we're going to lose ourselves. So, Angel, keep doing what you do. You ain't got to disrespect nobody. Just keep honoring yourself. So you go, girl. You go, girl. And then, sometimes people just need to just say congratulations. So Jill Biden invited both the teams to the White House, and people like, where we do that at? And Angel Reese like, no, we going to the Obamas. We want to go to Auntie or Uncle Obama house to be honored. So I understand that, because we have to understand both teams work hard, and the winner is the winner. Period. I don't even play basketball. Could have been a cheerleader for them, but I turned them down. But I'm just saying, let's honor the winners. Everybody can't go. Period. Auntie Jill Biden. Love and appreciate you, but I'm not with that one. And what else did I want to talk about? Oh, Baltimore. Yes, Baltimore, Maryland. I am coming to the Baltimore Comedy Factory on Thursday, April 27th. The show is at 8 p.m. And I am looking forward to seeing all of you. I haven't been to the Baltimore Comedy Factory where I started. That's one of the clubs in the DC, Maryland area where I started my comedy career. It's like home to me, right? From the original location I used to perform at on Light and Lombard to the newest location. They've been there for some years, which is on, I think is it McDonald, Catania? It's in Baltimore still. So I expect you all to come out. You can get your tickets at baltimorecomedy.com. Again, that is Thursday, April 27th, 8 p.m. All right. So I need y'all to come through, because we need to catch up, cut up, and y'all need to show up. See you there. All right. Thank you. That's it for Queens Quickies. It's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm just going to leave it right there because some stuff is just evergreen. I can touch on it next week. I want to chat with my girl, Sherri Warren. As I stated, I can see her face in the back and she absolutely make me sick. So I'm just going to cover it up. Me and Sherri met working in radio when I was working at WKYS in Washington, D.C. So we've been knowing each other, like I stated, almost 30 years. She's older than me, I believe. It doesn't matter. We're still seasoned, beautiful, gorgeous girls. What I love about Sherri, this is what's funny. I met Sherri, then we actually have a mutual friend that I used to work with, Lynette, and I believe they went to high school and kind of grew up together in Maryland. And me and Sherri, we've always been really cool. Sherri's always been a great supporter of mine, rocking with me. We can connect on a spiritual level and then on a foolishness level, and we balance one another out. I'll come to town, which she still hasn't accepted that I don't live in the DC area. She's like, when you coming back home? Like, I'm her mother and I abandoned her. She's like, when you coming back home? Like, you left for real? Yes, Sherri, I left for real. It's been 8 years, but I'll be home the end of the month. We can hang out, shawty. But today we're going to focus on her brother, Keith. Keith Warren was murdered July 31st of 1986, which I mentioned earlier. He was 19 years old. He was headed to college. He had got accepted to North Carolina Central State University. However, his life was cut short. He was found hanging from a tree in Montgomery County. And a lot of things are unanswered. There's a lot of unanswered questions like, why did they embalm his body, take him to a funeral home, and all of these things before contacting his family? So Sherri has been diligent in picking up where her mother left off after her mother's untimely passing in 2009. And she's very vigilant in getting to the bottom of it. And she's going to discuss this case and all the research that she's done. And also she's doing some really great things in the community to support others in knowing your rights and how to, for example, get a meeting with the police department. How does that look? How to protect yourself when you're pulled over. So please welcome my good friend, Sherri Warren.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was saying so much
early.
I was saying a lot backstage, and I'm gonna hold it to myself because it's a good Christian Saturday. So I'm gonna be quiet because I want you to keep your viewership.
You know what, Sherri? Thank you for your yes this early Saturday morning.
8, yes, ma'am.
Sherri was like, Aishah, we gonna be on camera. Because let me explain something about Sherri. Sherri Warren is not impressed.
No.
She ain't impressed. Sherri gonna dress the way she want to dress, say what she want to say. She's gonna be respectful, but she will get you in spiritual alignment if you out of order. She said she will get you in order. Okay.
Wait,
so,
I wanted to bring up a point. I don't know if you remember this. Remember that time you had a barbecue?
My housewarming, and you went to the wrong house.
I went to the wrong house that sat in these people's backyard that ate food. And then I said, well, where's Queen? And they said, who is Queen? I said, oh. I think I cussed you out because I done went to the wrong house.
Now, she had the correct address. She just decided her spirit led her to that address. Same street. She done sat in these people's house, ate their food, drank their liquor, used their bathroom. I don't know how long she was there. Then she came, she was like, I was at the wrong house.
I did. I said, I think I'm at the wrong house. And I said, thank y'all so much for your house. But they invited me back, though. You're welcome to come back.
But did you go back?
No, bitch.
Sherri, you are crazy. So, how have you been? How have you been?
You got me laughing at 8:00 in the morning. Good God, I am good though. Proud to see my sister girl doing her thing. When you called and asked me to do it, even though it was 8:00, Saturday morning, on camera.
Let me explain to y'all what I go through with everybody that's been on here. Pretty much 99% are like my friends, my real for real we people, right? Other people that have been on, we are growing into relationships and love them just the same. But let me tell you about the people that know me. They drag and send the information to me. They send me on a hunt to look for it. Yeah. I mean, it's just like Sherri treating me like I'm her secretary. Yeah. She's like, I'm at an event. Follow up with me on Monday. She need to know on Monday how she gonna feel for Saturday morning. I called her the other day for the information because for whatever reason, her email system and my email system was blocked.
Don't like each other.
They don't like each other. She sent me nothing heavy, just a regular attachment, Word document, and it didn't come through, right? Anyway, I called her on the phone, right? And I'm like, Sherri, I ain't get your information. I texted her that she didn't respond. I said, Sherri really trying to play me out. Because Sherri feel like she know me. We know each other.
Right.
It's going to be what it is. This is a professional show. We professional. We put it together. See, treat this like if you was going to Tamron Hall. Hey, Tamron, Oprah. Just treat my show right, okay? So this is what they do. So anyway, we got the information. I said, Sherri, what's the what? It's all on the website, Aishah. It's all on. And see that my moniker is Queen Aishah. Anyway, so this how they do. So she's upset because it starts at 9 a.m. and she has to feed her dog at 9. And the dog, she's already sent the dog away. This part. Sherri, thank you.
And he mad, and she's still mad at me. She's sitting there looking at me, okay, so what we doing?
So Sherri.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to your audience. I see Miss Palmer is with me. Miss Palmer had to set her alarm for 8 o'clock in the morning. Say, come on, man. Can we?
No, Miss Palmer Zenobia from Brooklyn. My Sagittarius twin. She was like, I thought you wasn't a night owl. Why you up so late? Because Sherri Warren gonna be on the show and I gotta do homework.
Listen, I tried to push it to 12, but that didn't happen. So there you go, Miss Palmer. I was working for the people. She wasn't trying to hear.
So share with us what you know, the story that has been told to you by Montgomery County Police about Keith's death, and then what you have unfolded.
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for everyone joining us, and thank you for the opportunity, Queen, to speak on your show. You and your producer have been great. And yes, your email server is raggedy because your email kicked my email. Your server didn't like my service. Don't blame me. You better talk to your
They don't go together.
They don't like each other. So I'm not sure if you're going to do the video today, but in 1986, my brother was found strung up on a tree in Montgomery County, Maryland. And at the time, the police tried to convince my family that Keith committed suicide, that it was self-inflicted, and that that was a closed, open and shut case. And so it wasn't until probably, I want to say a month later, just weird stuff started happening. Like, for example, even though the case was closed, the detective cut the tree down after we buried him, after they closed the case. He cuts the tree down. Now, mind you, he didn't tell us he cut it down. My family had came up from North Carolina and wanted to say a prayer at the tree. The tree was only like 500 yards from our house, and an area that me and my mom weren't familiar with, but I digress. And my family comes back in the house and they're like, yo, the tree is not there. I'm like, what do you mean tree is not there? So my mom calls a detective who was very disrespectful, very, I don't know what, there's a word I'm missing, unsympathetic, didn't care. He said, yeah, I cut it down. We're holding it for evidence. Well, how are you holding a tree for evidence if you've closed the case as suicide? So that was red flag number one. Then I'm going to fast forward because all of this that I'm speaking on is, you can catch it in a documentary called Uprooted. It's on Discovery Plus. It's a streaming platform. And it's a 3-part docuseries about everything up until last year that my family and I have experienced. Up until 2009, my mom was the face of this fight. If you Google, I've made a point of continuing the conversation, keeping information out there online, making sure that if you Google Keith's name, something comes up. Every year I want the story to continue to be told. I don't think Keith and my family is the only family that was affected by Montgomery County and their biased detective and their police department. So going back to, my mom passed in 2009, and when she passed away, me and God had a real serious conversation, because I was like, okay, because at the time when she passed away, I still don't know what exactly took her life. The backstory about her death was, she and I lived together, and she had a cold for a couple of days. And then one night she just did not feel well. It was a Friday night. She just didn't look well. So I took her to the hospital, took her to a local hospital, which immediately, they had put her in triage. That's a conversation for another day. Long story short, 3 days later, she's dead. And Georgetown, they transferred her to Georgetown eventually. And a team of 13 doctors at Georgetown couldn't and still can't explain to me what killed my mom. But the irony of that, though, on this good Easter Saturday, that I learned a lesson about God and how things work. The day my mom passed on a Tuesday afternoon, the day she died, they were throwing her a retirement party at her job, a surprise retirement party. She was supposed to retire from her job on that Friday after 30 years working for the government. And so even though I was mad at God, because, now I have 2 unsolved mysteries about how people are dying in my life, my mom's death was a little bit more explainable to me because, in his infamous and most wisdom way, his way of taking my mom the way he did in my head was that her work here was done. Now it's time for me to figure it out. And that's when I came to a realization that after she passed away, we had her service. I started going through all of the stuff that she had. I mean, I have bins of documentation that my mom and her support team have pulled together to show Montgomery County, the state of Maryland, and the justice system that there's something incredibly wrong with my brother's death and how it was investigated, that I couldn't let it go. So I picked up the torch from where she left off, and then we had different ways of handling things. My mom was valedictorian of her class. She was the Claire Huxtable, very polished, always had the dress to the nine, Liz Claiborne type vibe. Yeah, I got the I don't care. I have the 0 F's to give. And at that point, I warned Montgomery County at the time, and I said, I'm not my mama. So be clear, I don't care. I have 0 to give, right? So stop playing with me and my emotions and my family. And they just, at the time, they thought, oh, this little girl, we're going to let her be. Yeah, no, you're not going to let me be, because I'm not going away, because you're going to explain to me how you allowed a detective, a biased detective on your police department that probably has affected other families that they don't know or don't have a mouth like mine, get away with murder. And we're going to continue to talk about it until I lose the last breath of my life. And I'm going to say this to your listeners. If anything happens to me, be very clear. And I told Queen Aishah, I tell everybody this. Y'all better be somewhere marching and burning something down. I ain't gonna take myself out voluntarily, and I ain't gonna mysteriously go away. Be clear about that. By the way, my family says if somebody grabs me, they're gonna bring me back because of my mouth. But
they're giving you back.
They don't care. But anyway,
they're gonna pay somebody to take you.
or pay me to shut up. But anyway, I digress. So back to Keith's story. So the death of my mom and my brother lit a fire in me about the justice system and how we are so oblivious to what happens in our legal system and what's happening to us, happening around us. Because at the time, my mom didn't know how to work the justice system. My mom didn't understand the process by which to get due process for Keith and his death. And so the state of Maryland, and I'm calling them out and I don't care, Montgomery County, Maryland, the state's attorney all played with my mom and her emotions, and they knew what they were doing. And because of that, she missed statute of limitations, and she didn't understand how to file stuff. And she's a Black woman with 2 kids, well, now 1, living in Maryland with no money. See, the system will take advantage of you when it's allowed to do so. So I'm using her struggle, her story, my brother's struggle, and that's why I started the foundation. The foundation, the Keith Warren Justice Foundation, is in Keith's name, but it's not about Keith. It's about helping others get that due process and understanding statute of limitations and understanding Freedom of Information Act and understanding how to talk to police. Because one of the things I say on one of my videos that I do is what they do for Black women in particular is they try to discredit police, they as in law enforcement. They will say, they will use our emotions, they will use our attitude, they will use our mouth against us to not help us. So what you have to do, knowing is half the battle. So if you walk in there, because again, I'm just a different breed, and you're going to catch this mouth however you want to catch it. And my situation is different because, I've been dealing with this a long time. But if you're new to a situation and you're trying to get police and you're trying to get law enforcement to assist you, you can't go in there with the sister girl head and the neck and the attitude in the mouth because they're going to tune you out, right? Now, again, I'm a different breed, and I still don't care. But that's one of the videos I talk about. I talk about the Freedom of Information Act. through the Freedom of Information Act, which I filed back in 2012, and in Maryland, we have this thing called the Maryland Public Information Act. I obtained documentation from the police department that they sat on. Montgomery County, Maryland police sat on this information for 25 years, that the lead detective used deceit to determine my brother's death. So basically, and again, if you go to Uprooted on Discovery Plus, I go into great detail. But Detective Beasley, I'm calling him out, supposedly talked, I got this in writing too, supposedly talked to somebody at the scene. This somebody was never identified. This somebody was never, he wasn't ID'd, he wasn't related. We don't know who he is, right? He says to Detective Beasley, oh yeah, Keith had prior mental history. So Beasley took that information, by the way, didn't make the police report, but did make the notes that I got under the Freedom of Information Act, which I use against them, but another conversation for the day. He then used that information to justify sending Keith's body to the funeral home of his choice and ordering no autopsy. Now, the crazy part about that is that through my many questions and asking of things, Montgomery County Police Department want me to believe that in 1986, it was policy for police/detectives to send bodies to the funeral homes of their choice and order no autopsy. So,
but also they did, go ahead.
But when I asked for that in writing, and I want to see a police manual, I want to see a police policy handbook, right, from 1986 that says it's written, right? How about there's not one electronic or hard copy? Supposedly, they destroy them every time they're updated, right? So there is nowhere to go back to verify this information. But I digress. What was your question?
They really be thinking people crazy in general, overall. So this is the thing. So because they took him to the funeral home and they never contacted the family, never contacted your mother.
6 hours later.
6 hours later.
By the time they told my mom, which she was 20 minutes down the road at Walter Reed, because she worked at Walter Reed. Everybody in DC know if from Wheaton to Walter Reed ain't but 20 minutes.
Right.
They told
back
her
then.
Back then, yeah. Yes, because you go through Silver Spring now, you might as well take a book. But yeah, so they take him down. They go tell her 6 hours later. By the time they told her, he's already at the funeral home getting embalmed. So. Right.
Yeah.
And again, what they utilized at the time, and during this process and me stepping out and being more vocal, I've had people reach out to me and ask me advice, asking for advice about their situation. I helped a family in North Carolina, and they were going through the same thing. What the police will also do and utilize is that grieving period. So because
you're vulnerable.
You're vulnerable. You're dealing with so much other stuff that you can't even focus on the real issues, right? Until after your head clears, the fog clears, the phone stop ringing, and people start coming over. Right. Then you can sit in your thoughts and be like, okay, this ain't right. But by that time, there's statute, because in Maryland back in '86, you had 90 days to challenge the death certificate. 90 days, you can't. And I just spoke on it. I testified in a hearing last month about getting that updated to 6 months. There's no 90 days that you can think about your loved one and how they died if you're dealing with everything else. And that's what the law does. It doesn't work for you, it works against you.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, I've had conversations with young people about how they don't want to vote. Well, if you don't want to vote, then don't complain. Because and if you don't get out and do something, stop complaining. Because until you show me action, I can't validate your issue unless you tell me what you're doing to fix the issue, right?
What you stand for, exactly.
Right. So it's just going back to the whole situation with grief and dealing with it, especially when it comes to circumstances that may surround the death of a loved one. The laws are not your friend. That's as simple as I can put it. You have to know, and again, you have to know the law to work the law. And that's why I started the foundation, because I want to help others understand something that my mother wasn't afforded. Because again, she was a Black woman with no money. No lawyer wanted to take her case, because who wanted to go up against the state and the county? Back then was one of the richest counties in America. And, everybody ain't your friend. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. I'm gonna leave that one there.
Right. So in '86, as I was doing some research, there was a lot of I guess, racial unrest going on in Montgomery County at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So on the day of Keith's death, do you know like what was it prior to his death as far as like his day? Like when he left the house, did he say where he was going or?
I was not in the state. So this is where it gets ugly too. So this is where the lies, the deceit, the deception come in. So I was a minor. I was in Jersey visiting my aunt. I wasn't here. On the coroner's report, he states that he spoke to the victim's sister. Sister said he was missing and depressed. First of all, you didn't talk to me. Don't know who you talked to.
You underage.
Maybe it's that mysterious person that we still don't know who you spoke to, right? I still can't get no identification from. Technically, I was a minor, so you couldn't.
Right, so you can't. Exactly. Right.
So, and again, this is on the state sealed document dated by the coroner. And it's even proven, I got this from the fire department because we talked to people that were on scene who are still alive, who are speaking in the documentary. By the way, in the documentary, I got Doug Gansler, I got the councilman, I got the firemen, all on camera saying something is wrong with this case. But Montgomery County, and again, all kinfolk ain't kinfolk. You got a black police chief who doesn't want to acknowledge me. So, because I done pissed him off a couple times. Anyway, I digress. So you will not be coming to the barbecue, right? Exactly. So what my mom said, Keith left the house on a Tuesday. He had his duffel bag full of tapes. He had a shorts, shirt, and his blue hoodie jacket and his brown construction boots, which I have the boots, the jacket, and the duffel bag in my house today. He leaves the house. He tells my mom I'm coming back. Now, Keith never was in any trouble. He was a good kid. Never had a press record. I mean, he may have had a ticket or two because he had a Corvette, but his only vice was he had all white friends. All of his friends are white. All my friends are black. I used to say to him, them white boys gonna be there for you, but that's none of my business, right? And I to this day kind of regret it because I kind of spoke it into existence. But I used to say that they not your friends. Like they used to be in my house, on my refrigerator, on my floor, all of this. But from Tuesday night until Thursday, nobody came by nor called. My mama actually called one of his friends who we thought was his best friend, who, by the way, is still alive today. And I'm going to send him this video to his page because I'm on his ass, but I digress. Sorry, Christmas Saturday. It's my bad. I get annoyed when I talk about him.
Pre-resurrection.
Right. She called him and said, have you seen Keith? Because he hadn't come home. This was Tuesday night. He didn't come home Tuesday night. He didn't come on Wednesday. So she called Wednesday. And he said, I know where he is. I'm going to find him. And then his body is found strung up on that tree on Thursday. Now, I warn people, the pictures of my brother on the tree are online. We did not put them there. Not sure how they got there, but they're disturbing, but they're truth-telling. Because in the pictures, he's strung up. He's not hanging down. His feet are literally on the ground. The clothing he has on the tree in the pictures that came from Montgomery County Police Department, which they can't tell us how we got, but I digress, are not the clothes he left the house in. They tried to convince me and my mother that my brother took a change of clothes to go hang himself. And in the video, and I also did a video online on YouTube, the police want us to believe that my brother parked his car a quarter of a mile from where he was found, walked through our neighborhood with a 40-foot rope, 2 4-pack of wine coolers, a duffel bag full of tapes, and a change of clothes to go hang himself. So I said to the chief of police, so my brother wanted to be casket sharp when y'all found him. Is that what you want? And then also, not just to that fact, even though there were 8 wine cooler bottles that should have been around his body, none of them were collected. So you want to tell me he would be environmentally smart. He gets up, drinks all 8, goes, throws them away, comes back, changes his clothes, and hangs himself. So this is the discrepancies. And I've always said to them, I can show you how he didn't do it. I need you to show me how he did. And using a conversation that the detective had with somebody who we don't know is not evidence. So the detective, and I just and literally, as I go through this process, revelations are coming to me, things are making sense. So I was told that the reason why the detective cut the tree down was to get to the branch. The branch can show you which way the rope was going, up or down. Now, mysteriously, this branch gets destroyed in a warehouse fire, so there is no branch. But when I asked under the MPIA, FOIA, can I see some pictures of this branch since he's collecting evidence?
Okay, what is the go ahead, finish it, because I want to know what the acronyms you just said to educate
So
to educate us.
MPIA, Maryland Public Information Act,
Okay,
and the Freedom of Information Act. Under the MPIA and FOIA, I asked the police, show me pictures. Since he's cutting trees down and collecting evidence after the case is closed, there is none. Okay, well, show me a diagram then. There is none. So this detective was allowed to walk around and just play God and create his own narrative. So after he cut the tree down, my mother demanded a meeting with him. So this is how disrespectful he was. And I got documentation to show where he actually said in memos, because this is how dumb they are. They sent me some of the memos, how he just said my mother was a distraught woman who couldn't get over her son's death, how she's crazy, how she's this, how she's that. Okay, whatever. She demanded a meeting with him. And I told her, you're not going by yourself, right? So he finally agrees. I'm not going to tell you the process. It was a drawn out process. We get to the police station. He has us sitting in the lobby for about 45 minutes to an hour. We finally get to his office. This white man said to my mother, who has just buried her only son, that had you been a better mother, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Now, I relayed that conversation in 2014 when I had a meeting with chief of detectives and like 4 different officials from Montgomery County. One of the county officials, one of the county persons that, and y'all know him, I ain't gonna say his name because never mind. Anyway, he's he's a retired detective now, said to me that sounded like something he would say because he came up in an academy with him. And I looked at him and I said, and you're okay with this white man demeaning this black woman who lost her black son? And I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying that sounds like him. Does that give you that to me?
But that's the what they call it, the fraternity, how they connect, the brotherhood in blue or whatever they call it. That's the unfortunate. So what I want to talk about, I asked you, Sherri, with Keith's birthday being tomorrow, and how old would he have been tomorrow?
56.
56. Okay. So explain to us, give us a memory of your brother, his personality, y'all relationship. Tell us about Keith.
He used to tell me that I was blessed to have a brother that looked as good as him.
I know that's right. He must be a Sagittarius, but he an Aries though. He a fire sign. Go ahead.
So when we were growing up in North Carolina, we went to a Catholic school, and my mouth kept me in trouble, as it still does.
Mine too. At Catholic school.
I mean, it is what it is. So he would fight my battles, but then he would beat my behind for having to help me fight my battles, because in his twisted sense of thought, he's like, you need to know how to fight, because it's going to be a problem when you get older. So he was my protector. So in a sense, and when I picked this up back in 2009, he protected me. He was my big brother. He was my go-to. And I guess in my head, in my whatever, I'm fighting for him now. You know what I mean? I'm fighting for the truth, because somebody got away with murder, and somebody's able to walk around here, live their life. They probably got grandkids now. They got careers and whatever. But the memory of Keith Warren is going to haunt you to the day I lose my life. Okay? And I want that to be known. I want Montgomery County to understand that, everybody matters. Just because you want to pick and choose on what you feel is relevant or important, that's not fair, right? So I want them, and just because something happened 30 years ago, in 30 years now, it's still gonna be relevant, because Keith Warren, he was a brother, he was a son, he was a grandson, he was a nephew, he was loved, right? And that's never gonna go away. And that's for anybody that's fighting a battle like I'm fighting. Understand, you are their voice. And sometimes some people don't have the resilience like I do. Some people don't have the fortitude. And I'm not, I'm that's not a bad thing. But if you know in your spirit that something's not right, and this is why I tell people who call me and ask for advice, you have the internet. Our internet's free. Beyonce's web is free, right? you can start making Twitter pages, websites, conversations, videos, whatever, just put information out there.
That's right.
There's a whole community out there of us, of grieving relatives, of loved ones left behind who have questions. Just invested and interested in what you got going on, because we want you to be invested in what we got going on.
That's right.
So through this journey, I've learned and met some great people.
And where would you say, because the statute of limitation is up, where would you say the case is now? Because you're still focusing on your brother, but also you're focusing on, let's say, a bigger picture, meaning other people that are having the same issues.
So currently, I have a petition. So, this is weird. Let me tell you how, again, spirit, ancestors, God, whatever you believe in, has a way of revealing things. So when we were shooting the documentary back in 22, I was going through some documents prior to production, and I found a petition that my mother wrote in 2002. I got it, and everything is online, by the way. Put a pin in that conversation. The Keith Warren Justice Foundation.org is all about helping others. We are 501c3. We're not for profit. Everything I push out, I'm basically paying for, and it's fine. I've never done a fundraiser or anything like that, but I wanted to make sure I started something that will live on. But I also have the Keith Warren Justice site.com, where I put up documents and documentation showing the case. And because here's the thing, I can say all day long what I believe and how I feel, right? But if I can show you factually in black and white what I'm saying, okay? Y'all, the police department can't call me with so many crazies without having with the facts I got. Okay?
Because you have the backup. You have the paperwork.
So, for your viewership, y'all know this name, Dr. Fowler. So Dr. Fowler, who actually got on the stand and spoke for the defense in the George Floyd case for that cop, right, Derek Chauvin. Dr. Fowler also ran the medical examiner's office back in 2002. And in 2002, my mom sent a petition, a 60-page petition to his office asking for the reclassification of my brother's death. Dr. Fowler's office never acknowledged it. I found the documentation because my mom used to keep everything. I have like...
She was one of them type of moms. Yes, that's what they do.
So I just took that document that she sent and I updated it with this new stuff I got. And I just sent it last month to the current medical examiner who's interim. But I'm waiting to hear back from his office, because at the end of the day, the reality of it is, and I'm going to be very blunt with this one, I'm not asking for Montgomery County to reinvestigate anything, because they can't reinvestigate anything without evidence. The detective destroyed evidence by releasing the body to a funeral home of his choice, ordering no autopsy. The body was evidence. When there's no autopsy, you kill the evidence, right? He cuts the tree down. So there is no tree to go back to look to. The clothing that Keith has on the tree, we never got back. The shirt, pants, and shorts that he had on in 86. See, in 86, what we got back was the blue hoodie jacket, the brown construction boots, Jimi Hendrix hat, and the blue duffel bag, which was ripped apart. When my mom asked about his shirt, pants, underwear, we were told that there was so much decomposition that they had to destroy everything. It wasn't until we got the pictures that we realized the clothing was changed. So now we don't have any clothing. So every piece of physical evidence that you can go back to, that a unbiased person can go back and look at, Detective Beasley destroyed, or manipulated, or got rid of. And to absolutely magnify the whole picture so that your listeners understand, the rope. I have the rope. I don't have the noose. My mother kept asking for the noose. And it's in their documentation, which I have. The chief did not want that noose released. Then all of a sudden, it came up missing. You want to know why they didn't want the noose out? The noose could tell you if a right-handed or a left-handed person tied it. So there is no noose. So every piece of physical evidence that one to go back and look at, Montgomery County Police Department, and I'm going to put it on everybody, or that Detective Beasley destroyed, manipulated, or lost. So you cannot go back and investigate. And I'm not going to waste taxpayer. I'm not going to ask for an investigation and waste taxpayers' dollars. But what I am going to ask you to do is meet me halfway, because I can show you how he didn't do it. You can show me how he did. And since you can't, medically, scientifically, or factually, you need to meet me halfway.
And this is what we're going to do on that point. That's a good segue. And we're going to actually show the video from Uprooted that this is the trailer for that it aired already on Discovery.
Yeah, Discovery Plus.
Discovery Plus.
Ready? No.
I don't see it.
We don't see it, Katanya.
Dreams. And the father's there. And he starts to walk off.
Katanya, we don't see the video.
No, go.
Hold on, y'all. We having technical difficulties on this sacred Saturday pre-resurrection. We gonna get it together though.
Jesus loves me though. He told me that. He told me so.
This girl right here. This one right here. So why Katanya gets that get that up and running for us. So what events, because I know that you do different things in the community, what other events do you have coming up that are with the Keith Warren Justice Foundation?
Well, right now, me and my board are just discussing how to maybe do there we go.
Here we go.
You ready? No, but let's go.
Yeah.
I think her connection may be a little.
It's breaking up a bit, Katanya.
And then we're in front, and Keith is there, and he starts to walk off. He never lied to me. He just said, "I gotta go." He would have left a note. Would have goodbye. My name is Sherri Warren. I have the name Keith, who on July 31st, 1986, was found hanging from a tree.
Just a little
As soon as we got to the scene, everything just went sideways.
This case has too many red flags. It is impossible for anybody to commit suicide that way.
How in the hell do you get a young black man hanging from a tree and that not send alarm bells all the way up through the police department?
They ruled a suicide right away without any type of investigation whatsoever.
We started asking questions that we believed at the time the police should be asking.
This boy, he was a teenager. He had a car. He had friends. He was ready to go to college. He was getting ready to start living his life.
The story didn't make sense then. It doesn't make sense now.
For me, my motivation is somebody wanted to silence this. Somebody wanted this to go away. Nobody was investigated. Nobody was interviewed. You had no autopsy performed.
You have to look at what it was in 1986. There were racial tensions in all the suburbs.
My mom not put her head in the sand and quiet go away. And I'm not doing it either.
Mary Cooey went to her grave trying to figure out what happened to her son.
Her life drained every year, trying to fight for justice for her child. And she couldn't get it. Not while she was here. We gonna fight for it.
You know what? I would tell Katanya to pause because it's gonna.
Yeah.
Because what your listeners can do is you can go on to YouTube or just again, like I said. Now I'm not supposed to say this, so Discovery Plus has a trial period where you can get 7 days for free. And you can go ahead and binge watch all 3 and then cancel. Yeah, that's just a little. if you're interested. It's only $5 a month, but still, sometimes that $5 is a lot.
So it's 3 episodes
Yes,
of
it's 3
the story. Wow. I'm gonna go watch it. Okay.
Okay, first of all, let's talk trash. You should have seen it by now, since you know what.
Hold up, no.
This will be an offline conversation. See, okay, I'm not
right. We watched it. No. Well, hold up. We're gonna come back to that. Listen, we're gonna talk about the trailer is on the Keith Warren Justice Foundation page website also, so you can find it. It's not on your social media pages.
All right,
is
so
it?
it's the Keith Warren Justice Foundation.org,
not .org, y'all, not .com, .org.
Yeah,
that's
so
ORG.
Again, there's 2 different websites, and I don't want to confuse people. The Keith Warren Justice site.com is all about Keith's story. It's all about my experience, what I've been going through. I've been a little not lazy, but I've been busy. I haven't updated it in the last month, but I try to put something on once a month about what my struggles are, what I'm doing. The .com, the Keith Warren Justice Foundation.com, .org is all about helping others. There's an application that people get asked for help. And then I'm also available for side conversations. Like I said, I've given out free advice for the last couple of years, and people have actually said to me, I have this going on. What do you suggest? And my first train of thought is to tell people, know the laws in your state, because every law is different. Every state is different. Every situation is different. So you just got to know what you're fighting against. If you don't know, you can't fix it. And you don't know you don't know how to arm yourself for that battle.
Right.
So, and it's reading is fundamental. So yeah, because that's why I learned about the whole medical examiner's office. And so the police have me on a ping pong table now. And you'll see in the documentary, because Maryland, you can't record people unbeknownst to them. They do have me on camera where I call them, because the police department during the filming, they were interviewed by the production team, and the police chief, who I had several meetings with, by the way, never said to me, never directed me to the medical examiner's office, never in my meetings with him, but he told them, oh, she has to talk to the medical examiner's office. We don't control that. They have to direct us. Okay, bet, because when you give me some direction, I'm gonna do it. So they have me on camera. I literally called the medical examiner's office. They were very kind, by the way, but they were like, yeah, no, we can't do anything unless the police call us. It's like, wait a minute, what? Because they told me that you called. But on a side note, I'm going to give you another tidbit that did make the documentary. So in 2018, or was it 19, before Chief Manger left, Chief Manger, who was the chief of police for Montgomery County, who's now chief of police for the Capitol Hill officers, I had been going back and forth with him on email about Keith's case and reclassifying or reopening it. And so finally he emailed me back. It's on the .com. He emailed me back and he said, Miss Warren, on this email, he CC'd 2 detectives. He said, I did reopen your brother's case. Now, mind you, he didn't tell me when or why. So I'm bombarding back. Okay, well, when did you reopen it? Why did you reopen it? I'm excited, right? So then one of the detectives, it's online, took the chief off the email and responded to me and the other detective. The chief is incorrect. The case hasn't been reclassified and hasn't been reopened. Okay, so then the other detective who he has CC'd, and again, they respond all, he responds all and says, yeah, so the chief did say that, and it's going to cause an S storm. I'm not going to SHIT storm. So then, me being who I am, I couldn't help it. I responded all, hello, still here. Thank you.
It ain't funny.
And then they stopped talking to me. But it's okay. It just shows me that internally, y'all know this is wrong.
Wow.
You know something ain't right, but yet and still you want to play with my family and my emotions? Oh yeah, I'm petty. They call me Petty Paula. I'm Petty Betty. Sorry. Petty Betty is my new nickname. Sure am. And I'm going to keep exposing you with every opportunity I get. And
well, first of all,
opportunity.
I believe that your personality, your spirit keeps you going, because you could have just went into a corner, especially after your mother passed, and just gave everything up. So that's gratitude, and I commend you on that, because like you said, your brother fought for you, and now you're fighting for him, and it's like you're fighting for him and your mother, because also your mother may have left us because it was too much for her. you know, so it could have been more to it,
Mhm.
right? But sometimes God does, it could be the small things, a cold, you know, just to leave it mysterious and to have you going. And I've known you a long time, and you're older than me.
Bye, you bitch, but go ahead.
And no, you're resilient because you never know what a person is going through, you know. And I know before I left and times I've come home, you have been going through different things, not necessarily that, but you know what I'm saying? So that you're still pressing forward, Sherri. That's just like, that's amazing. And I commend you on that. And I know that your mother and your brother are smiling. And when you leave here, it'll still know that you made some noise for your family and for your brother. And bigger than that, just that, like you said, it's not just for him, it's for everyone, you know. So you've put that footprint there and that spirit and that energy. So that is awesome.
Well, I do want to say this to your listeners, and I hope to share this message to their circle. Therapy, there's back 20, 30 years ago, therapy was a stigma. It was a thing. People didn't want to talk about it. People didn't want to acknowledge it. But let me say, my mom put me in therapy from day one, and I fought tooth and nail, kicking and screaming. And I'm so happy she did. And I'm still in therapy. There's nothing wrong with it. Whatever your situation is, find a trained individual that will help you navigate the waters of distress, disturbance, or whatever may be hurting or working against your spirit. Because talking to your best friend, that's cool, but you need to talk to somebody that's trained, who knows what,
give you tools,
who gives you the tools to fight and to understand. So please, I encourage people. We're going through some trials and tribulations in this time period of life, and it's hard. And you should not do it. You should not feel ashamed, because I will put me on a poster board. Yes, I go to therapy. Listen, if I go to therapy, I'd be in jail.
Let me tell you, hello, let me tell you something. Y'all talking about a side piece. You need to have a whole side therapist on the side, for real, because you need to get what you need to get. And they give you tools a lot. And like you said, it's like stigmas, especially in our community, because we play and make fun of different things. People need help. And especially we're in these times. I keep a side there.
And it's okay.
Be like, hello, I need a tune up.
Right.
Because evidently I ain't get something. You know what I'm saying?
I want to tell people, don't follow your heart. I've had people say to me, to your point, why do you keep doing this? You're not living your life. Trust, believe, I've not stopped living.
Right.
Aishah can attest. My side life, my full-time job,
right.
a lot. So but I know what's important for me. And this is like, I'm not going to call it a hobby. I'm going to call it a calling. And it has given me the strength, the endurance. It has given me a purpose. And the purpose is that I know that even if I'm affecting one person every day, it's something that makes me feel good. You know, I may not be what do you call it? Attracting the masses, but one person and one change, that it's a lot. So yeah, hashtag therapy works.
Absolutely. And therapists go to therapy, because I go to my therapist and I'll be like, who you going to see? Because I need to know what I'm dumping on you, you getting the help you need. No, for real. I'd be like, and like my therapist that I went to in Maryland, and I want her to be on the show because she is so dope. And I was like, how you take care of yourself? She's like, we do self-care. She's like, me and my sisters, we come in here, we shift this energy up in this piece because there's so much coming through. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that I just have the compassion for that, because I think people are going through things. So when you're coming in, because you have friends that we're going to another subject, but this is real, that call you and they dump on you or they're sharing. But a lot of times we don't know how to shift that energy and get it off of us. And we're going through stuff. We don't understand why we're going through these things, because you're not trained. They're trained. They know how to handle that. And it's not that you can't help your people, but you got to know how to shift that energy and get it off of you, you know? So that's really important. So Sherri, let me ask you this. Because you talk about continued action for accountability with policing. Explain the importance of that and why.
Well, because if you don't fix the problem, it's going to continue to be a problem. And what we've noticed in law enforcement, so let me be very clear. I'm pro law enforcement, but I'm also pro making sure funding gets to the correct areas, i.e. police officers should be required to go to therapy every 3 months. They should be required to talk to somebody. You should have a mental health check if you wear a badge or if you wear a uniform or if you take an oath every day, because they see a lot. Because if something happened in my house, I'm calling 911. Not to mention my tax I was paying for too, but that's another conversation. So I'm not against the police department, but what I am against, what I am for is accountability and transparency. And that blue wall, them police unions, they need to come down. They need to be addressed and they need to be fixed. Because what you do is when you try to sweep stuff under the rug or make it go away, it just builds up like any other dust mountain will do.
Fester and cancer.
It'll keep growing. So I want accountability. I want transparency. I want fellow officers to not feel ashamed for bringing forward something that's troubling them with their other officers. I want that accountability, because that's what like when that detective said to me, "Oh, that sounded like something he would say," that should have red flagged y'all. He's sitting back complacent, allowing his counterpart to berate and belittle a mother who lost her only son, and you ain't got a problem with that. I got a problem with you, and I told him this was a conversation for today. Because, oh, by the way, I saw that same detective. Side note, y'all, little piece of my personality. Never saw that man before. Before that meeting, after that meeting, I used to see him at Copper Cane in Silver Spring.
You know that's our spot, girl.
Bitch, why was I sending him drinks from Keith Warren every time I saw him? Sure did. I would tell the bartender, tell us from Keith Warren.
I wonder if he drank them.
No, he sends them back, but it's okay. I want you to know I'm not going away. I did that about 3 times, 4 times. But anyway, I digress. Accountability. That's what I want. I want police officers to understand I'm not belittling what you do every day. You probably see some stuff I will never be able, but you also need to get the help. You also need to be required to do certain things to get through what you see and what you know and what you experiencing. Because everybody needs help. Nobody is the only perfect person walking perfect that we know was Jesus. Now, there may have been some couple of aliens because that mothership is waiting on the court on the edge of the universe for us, but I digress.
So listen, I was actually watching the news, and I don't know if it's here locally in Georgia where I live, Sherri, and but they actually have a healing room that they put in one of the police departments, and they said that they believe it's the first one. It's like you come and meditate. They have the lighting, the tones, the tones, and all that stuff going. I was like, wow, that's. And when you think about it, when we know better, we're supposed to do better. So when we look at the time that we're in now. And unfortunately, so many things have had to happen. Police seeing things, police doing things for us to get to this point. But when you really think about it, you would think that these would be things that we could have had in the 80s and 90s, because as far as like self-care, awareness, meditation, taking care of, these are things that have been talked about since the beginning of time. So you would think that at least in the 80s, but I think it's also a thing of ego and pride. Oh, you okay, brush it off. And I watch Law and Order. I watch Law and Order.
You're right. You're not man enough. You ain't right. Your manhood is challenged because you say I'm hurting or something disturbed me or something didn't sit right with me. Child, me and Law and Order, Criminal Intent, Robert Gorin, that's my man.
Honey, that's and I could just watch it over. Like before they came up with apps, I was already binging on Law and Order. Like, doom, doom, doom. Yes, let's go. Yes. So Sherri, thank you for your yes, for coming on the show. I hope to see you when I'm home. Maybe we can drink out for candy.
At 8 o'clock in the morning, you'll see me.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Well, what would you like to leave the beautiful people with? And also, let me say this: Karen Michelle, she said that she actually knows your mother and she knows the story. Yes, so she's a friend. Yes, Katanya put it up earlier. Yes, so she said she's very familiar with the story. Small world. See, you might go up to Aunt Karen's house and sit at her table and not know her and ask for me.
Listen, Aunt Karen, you never know. Queen Aishah give us, she give me the right address. Well, then again, no, she didn't give me the right address. Still showed up at the wrong one, but it don't matter. I want your listeners to take Keith's story and share it and continue to talk about it, because what they wanted to do back in 86 was they wanted it to go away. Yes. They wanted it to get quiet. But like someone said in the comments earlier, that docuseries will live on forever, will live on beyond me. So I'm okay. It will continue to expose the lies, the deceit, the deception. And until Montgomery County, I'm going to do a Sealy on them. Until Montgomery County, Maryland, the state of Maryland do right by me, I'm not going away. And everything you try to mess with is going to be messed up. Be clear.
Okay.
Chief Jones, but okay. Anyway. But yes, please continue to share.
Yes, Sherri. And I just posted what Karen put up earlier so you can see it.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, did she say she worked with my mom? Well, I finished her in her work. Yes. Yep.
Oh, yep. So
Yeah,
small
my
world.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
But again, Google Keith's name. There's so much information out there. Continue to flood the internet, because that's, again, Al Gore's internet. Beyonce's web is free. So, yep.
Not Beyonce web is free, you know. You are crazy. So listen, I hope to see you in a few weeks so we can get to hang out and do what we do.
Yes, ma'am.
We don't do drugs. So people
No,
say, what's the do we do?
We do. Laughter is our drug.
We laugh, we cut up, we catch up. Yeah, we do a lot of laughing and a lot of checking and silliness. So it's good to see you smiling, my friend. I hope to see you soon and sending you hugs and loves and kisses. Now you can go feed your dog and go back to sleep and continue to curse me out.
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
All right.
Thank
Peace
you,
and
guys.
blessings. Thank you, baby.
Bye.
Thank you all so much for checking out another episode of I Know Dope People. And that is my friend Sherri Warren. And we are honoring her brother Keith Warren's birthday, which is tomorrow. He would be about 55 or 56 on tomorrow. So again, that is the Keith Warren Justice Foundation.org or Keith Warren Justice Foundation, Keith Warren site.com. Katani, what's the other site? I'm forgetting it. I want to make sure we give them both properly. But you can go back and watch this episode of I Know Dope People. And thank you so much for participating. There we go. There's the information. Peace and power. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great day. Love on yourself. I'm out. Right.